Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all keeping safe and well as usual, and if you're new here then welcome to my channel. My lockdown experience is still going well so far. I'm still staying indoors out of the way. Didn't have to go shopping this week because we had everything delivered again, which was good, and home working's been keeping me busy. Did a bit of work in the back garden as well, clearing up some junk, so nothing too exciting to mention there. There's not a lot to mention other than that on the home front, so I'm just going to crack straight on with the favourites, to be honest. I think, as you know, if you've watched this channel before, this is just me rambling on about the things that I've been enjoying and discovering over the past week. In case there's anything you want to check out as well, there's always a variety of things to cover, as there is this time. As always, there's a blog post to go with it with much more detail and more links as well. And there's also a lockdown resources page on my blog with loads of different links you can check out and various playlists on my channel as well. None of this is sponsored or gifted either, so all opinions are my own and everything. So yeah, it's basically as simple as that. So I'm just going to crack straight on with this, go through the list of stuff for this week, and I hope you enjoy it as usual. It's quite a significant month for me in terms of anniversaries this month because it's 20 years since my first and so far only trip to America, when I went with my school because we arranged an exchange trip. So my school was the West of England School in Exeter, now the WESC Foundation, and we arranged an exchange with the Kentucky School for the Blind in Louisville, Kentucky. And so they came over to us, some of their students, and we showed them around. They came to classes with us and things. And then we went out there for a couple of weeks. So on the first week, our group just explored a bit. We hadn't met the Kentucky students at this point. We just explored ourselves. So we started off in New York and we went up the World Trade Center. That was the big highlight of it. Went up to the top of there. Amazing views, of course. And just over a year later, it became apparent just how special that had been, how unique an experience that was given 9/11. So it really does feel very special that we got to go up to the top of that building, even more than it already did at the time. We also went up the Empire State Building. We didn't go outside then because the weather was horrible, but we still got good views that evening when we went up there. We had a walk through Times Square as well. Then we went to Washington for a couple of days too, saw the White House and the Lincoln Memorial and things like that. And then we went on to the Blue Ridge Mountains for a night, staying at a youth hostel there. And then we spent a week in Kentucky itself. And we stayed at the school and with families of the students too, and went to classes with them, stuff like that. And they showed us around to the baseball museum and the zoo and things like that. So it was an amazing couple of weeks. It was really, really special. And when I first started this channel, I actually posted my footage from the trip on there. So you can dig right back through my channel to see that. There's a travel adventures playlist where you can just jump to it all straight away. I'll link to that in the description and a card up here on the screen. So go and check out those videos. I've done a secondary version of the first couple of videos with an audio commentary as well, just to talk a bit about the trip. But I'm glad I have that footage to remember it by. It's the first time I'd ever bought a camcorder, so even though I'm not a professional filmmaker or anything, it's still very, very good to see that footage back. So yeah, it's 20 years since we did that. It's hard to believe that, but it was well worth it. And one day I would love to go back to the States and have a look around those places again and other places too. It's such an amazing place. So yeah, thank you to America for how well they looked after us at the time, and one day I will be back, I promise. And then moving on to theatre, and I saw a couple of musicals online for the first time this week, both of which were a little bit strange if you've never seen them at first, but both are great fun as well, so they're worth a go. The first one was Cats on the Andrew Lloyd Webber channel, The Shows Must Go On. That was this week's offering that I know a lot of people were looking forward to. I've never seen the show before, I've never seen the movie either, which I know has had a panning because of the CGI and things, so I had nothing to judge it against. I didn't really know what to expect, and so it did seem very, very strange at first, I must admit. But the costumes are amazing. They really look brilliant, everyone in that show. And the songs are great. They're often very catchy, and Memory, sung by Elaine Page, is a beautiful song. And the choreography is fantastic as well. It's a real spectacle, that show. The story doesn't really matter what there is of it. It's the spectacle that really matters in that show, I think. So it is good fun. It's not what I'd call one of my favourite musicals. I know some people put it like top of their list. I think there are musicals I prefer more than that. But even so, it's well worth a go, and I think it's one of those shows that would kind of grow on me if I watch it more again in the future, so I probably will try it again one day. And then the other show I found wasn't actually uploaded for lockdown, it was actually uploaded a few years ago, but I found it via another video that had been posted recently. But it's Avenue Q, which is basically an adult version of Sesame Street in a way. It's very, very much for adults. It's very kind of adult humour, strong language, things like that. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny. It's basically about, these puppets trying to get through life, form relationships, things like that. It's unusual also, not just because of the adult humour, but because the puppeteers are on stage all the time as well. They're very much part of the performance. There's no attempt to hide them, but you don't get distracted by them either. It works really well. And the songs are catchy too, they're really funny. And yeah, there's important messages about life in that show as well. It can seem a bit silly and immature, I think, to some people, I expect, but I thought it was good. It's just good fun, really. It's a good way to kill about an hour and 3/4. And then looking ahead, I thought you also might like to know that the Old Vic Theatre are also going to be streaming some of their shows online from June, so it's worth subscribing to their channel too. They're already posting some monologues under the title The Greatest Wealth, celebrating 70 years of the NHS, but they're going to be streaming full shows as well, the first one of which is A Monster Calls, and I saw this a couple of years ago with my good friend Claire, and we really enjoyed it. It's a very powerful and emotional fantasy play. It's very, very good, and the Old Vic have also promised me on Twitter that they're looking at putting audio description on all of their stream shows as well, which if they can do that is absolutely fantastic. They've been very committed to accessibility, the Old Vic, so I'm very happy to kind of give them a plug. You know, they completely renovated their building last year, so they've got proper accessible entrances for wheelchair users now, and there's lifts and toilets have been improved and all sorts. They've really gone to a lot of effort considering it's a listed building and their funding is limited and everything else. They really are committed to accessibility, so it's great that they're carrying that forward into the online world. Obviously, like many theatres, they're also struggling a bit financially as well, calling on their reserves during this crisis, and there's an article I'll share in the description below about how they are struggling at the moment, as many theatres are. So yeah, it's well worth giving them or any other theatre that you like the support if you can, because it's all very well us enjoying these free shows online, but if there's no theatres to go back to when lockdown is fully lifted, then it's going to be a bit pointless. And then in terms of drama, it's worth mentioning that Outlander Season 5 finished on Amazon this month. I haven't really got into this season quite as much as the previous ones. It doesn't seem to have had quite as much excitement in it somehow for me. And there was a little bit of action in there, which was good, but not really a lot. And the whole time travel aspect was a big letdown, really. Nothing really happened there in the end, despite teasing that it might. It was still very well acted, and the scenery's stunning, and the music's gorgeous as always, but it just didn't excite me quite so much. Maybe that's because partly it started when the lockdown kicked in and there was all the panic buying that I was anxious about and stuff like that. So I wasn't really focused on it very much at the start, to be fair, but even so, it didn't really pick up later on. The last episode was very shocking, though, complete contrast to the rest of the series. Felt like they were kind of being shocking for the sake of it in a way. Maybe it is in the books, I've never read them, but it felt like they were kind of repeating, in a way, what had happened to James and Bree before. They'd had similar fates before them, although for Claire it was much worse, to be fair. But yeah, it just kind of felt like they were kind of just ticking a box and doing the same thing to Claire because it happened to other people in a way. But yeah, maybe that's just me. It just didn't quite get me this time. It's an okay series, but just hasn't been as good as previous seasons in my personal view. And then in terms of transport videos, which I don't normally mention very often, I've caught up with the Hidden London Hangouts series on the London Transport Museum's channel now, which is very interesting. And they basically talk about different venues that they take the public to on their Hidden London tours, which they can't do at the moment. So they're now talking about the history of these places, showing photos of these places, going into quite a lot of detail, and they're very enthusiastic and knowledgeable about it. So it's a pleasure to watch them talk about it. And they've covered a variety of places already, including a bunker in Clapham South. They've gone to Old Vic. They've covered 55 Broadway, which is now going to be converted into a hotel. It's not being used for its original purpose anymore. Euston particularly interested me because I know the station very well. I've been there a lot over the last few years, and there's a lot of history there I didn't know about, a lot of hidden secrets there I never knew about. So those videos are very interesting. They're quite nerdy as well, to be honest. They talk about tiles and posters and things, as well as the general layouts of the spaces and the history that's down there, how they kind of came to be, the different purposes they had over the years. But it's very, very good. It's very well presented, and it has been a very popular series, so it's worth checking out if you're into that kind of thing. And then moving on to comedy, and I was delighted that Charlie Brooker gave us a special edition of his Wipe series this week, because he hasn't done an edition of that since 2016, so it was great to see it again. And it's basically a very observational look back at recent events, picking out all the ridiculousness of it all, and using very good language as well. He's got a very good turn of phrase in that show, and he's got spoof correspondents in there as well, like Philomena Kunk giving their views on the situation. It is a tragic situation, and he did acknowledge that, but it is all about finding the humour in it, and I think he got the tone exactly right. So it's well worth the watch. It's a good bit of light relief. And then in terms of future shows, it's great that QI is going to be back for Series R from the end of the month. A couple of episodes in that series had to be filmed without a studio audience given the restrictions, so that'll be interesting to see how that turns out. But yeah, it's great to see the series back in general. And then Mischief Theatre have had their first read-through for the Goes Wrong Show Series 2. That was a great show earlier in the year, and it was recommissioned for a second series, so it's great that they've started working on it even if they can't film it yet. And then there have been many more comedy clips posted online this past week. Of course, there's always a regular stream of different things to laugh at, which is great. So sports commentators Andrew Cotter and Nick Heath have continued to post new videos on their channels. Andrew Cotter has posted a team meeting with his dogs on Zoom, for instance, which is very funny. And Nick Heath has posted an extended compilation of clips where he's commentating on all sorts of random aspects of life. So they're both good to watch, those videos. And then there have been a whole slew of parody videos that have continued to come out on online. It's amazing how creative people are with these. So for example, there's a lady called Shirley Serban who has done covers of songs by Petula Clark and the Police, for example. The Petula Clark song was Lockdown instead of Downtown, for instance. Then the Holderness family have done Bonnie Tyler and Michael Jackson covers. The Bonnie Tyler one was Holding Out for a Haircut. That was very good. The Kiffness have done a Cher parody called Do You Believe in Life After Lockdown? That's quite good. That's very well put together. A policeman called Tim Jones decided to record himself singing Sweet Transvestite from the Rocky Horror Show during one of his breaks. You know, people moan about policemen and NHS workers and things like that having a bit of fun, but they're entitled to in their breaks. You know, they do a lot of hard work, and why not have a bit of a laugh when they got a bit of downtime? So yeah, he did that and went viral for doing so. There was even a BBC News article about him doing it. And then somebody very cleverly edited together lots of seals making noises to reproduce the song Kiss from a Rose by Seal, the singer. So it's very daft and silly, but it's good fun as well, and it is actually quite well in tune with the song. So it's a ridiculous but funny video, as the internet is very good at providing us with. And then finally moving on to music, and last week I sang the praises of Kerry Ellis, who is a musical theatre star and a fantastic solo singer. I reviewed her new album last week, Feels Like Home, which I loved. And now this week I started listening to her podcast Keep Calm and Carry On, where she talks to singers and dancers and theatre stars that she knows from her life. And it's very, very interesting. You know, Kerry is a very engaging presenter. She's very good at it, and her guests are very open and honest and talk in great detail about their career journeys, which are very interesting to hear about, and their experiences of lockdown and any struggles they've had over their life and things like that. So it's very, very interesting to listen to. Even if you're not into kind of musical theatre generally, it's still very interesting to hear about their lives and their experiences. And then Kerry was also one of 23 actresses who have either played Elphaba or Glinda in Wicked, who got together to perform a special version of For Good from the show in support of the Make a Difference Trust, who are a great charity who could do with everyone's support as well. So that's a lovely rendition of the song. It's great to hear all those voices together. They harmonise really nicely. And then just to run through a list of other videos that I've been enjoying this past week that I've discovered, the Bare Naked Ladies have been recording a number of selfie cam jams on their channel, including a version of the Big Bang Theory theme tune, which is what they're best known for among many people. So that's very good. They're a very good band. There's a good few songs to explore there. The cast of the Back to the Future musical, which sounds very cool, I'd love to see that one day, have performed their version of The Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News. The band OK Go have written a song called All Together Now in support of Partners for Health, and band member Damien has written a letter on the website explaining what that's all about. And then there are a number of songs in support of the NHS as well, which is fantastic because they deserve all the love we give them. So the cast of Comedy About a Bank Robbery, which is great, I've seen that before, performed the track Dynamite. A group of West End stars performed From Now On from The Greatest Showman. A group of NHS workers from Wales sang Bridge Over Troubled Water in both Welsh and English, which was approved by Paul Simon. He loved it and posted it on his YouTube channel. And that was done in support of a theatre in Wales, which has been converted into a temporary coronavirus hospital, and they've called it the Rainbow Hospital, which is a lovely name. And then another group of NHS workers, joined by a couple of West End stars as well, performed a song called Strange New World, which is lovely as well. And if you want to show your support for the NHS, apart from clapping every Thursday night as many people are doing and staying at home as much as you can to ease the workload on them, then you can also donate to NHS Charities Together, which is a very worthwhile cause. It's what Colonel Tom Moore was raising money for with his huge sponsored walk that he did, and many other people have also raised money for them. So if you can chuck a little bit their way, it'd be very much appreciated. And that's it. That's all I have to mention for this week. I hope you found that interesting and there are things in there that you enjoyed and want to check out. There's nothing else I need to mention at the moment, really. The week ahead should be quite normal as far as I know for me, relatively speaking, in the current circumstances. So until I get back to you next time, which is probably going to be next week again, please take care of yourselves, stay safe as always. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to this channel so you know when my next video comes along. And I will see you for another video very soon. Bye.